He's been involved in designing and developing websites for 15 years in the public and private sector as an employee and as a freelancer. The library embarked on a project to address the limitations of multiple search interfaces by employing usability experts and integrating varied services into a unified search interface. So welcome, Gaith and Gary. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming to our presentation. What do you expect? A user-centric approach to unified library search interfaces. I'm Gaith THETA, and I don't know who this guy is, but Gary Brown. Moss. So I thought to start with, we'll put a bit of context of who we are and what we are, and you can start.
Right. Good. We're from the University of Sydney, which was founded in 1850. Australia's first university, very research focused. In the 2016 QS World University Rankings by Subject, ranked the University of Sydney to be 11th in law, 16th in education, 17th in medicine, and 18th in accounting. Globally. Duncan Iverson, our Deputy Vice-Chancellor of Research, says, "It's our responsibility to conduct the very highest quality research possible."
Testing. Exclamation mark. Testing. Exclamation mark. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Good. The highest quality research possible, driven by a desire to understand and discover new knowledge about the most fundamental and challenging problems that exist in our disciplines. We have 9 faculties and schools, 50,000 students, and some 7,000 professional and academic staff. Wow. Over to you, Gaith.
Thank you. So the University of Sydney Library is one of the largest academic libraries in the Southern Hemisphere, with a collection of more than 5 million physical items and 1 million electronic resources. We have 12 sites across our campuses and more than 200 staff. The library is a legal deposit for material published in the state of New South Wales. And we had more than 12 million ebooks and e-journal articles accessed in 2016. Our rare books and special collections have more than 170,000 items. And our Sydney Research Online has 80,000 research outputs and 800 plus terabytes of research data sets.
In case that means nothing to you, that's 0.8 petabytes.
So how did it all start? It was a combination of factors. To start with, we got the results of our library client survey, which runs usually every 2 to 3 years, and it gauges client satisfaction of our different services, one of which is online services. And comments on it covered the spectrum from easy to find what I want to I couldn't find anything I wanted. And this was the catalyst for us to refocus our efforts on improving the user experience with library discovery platforms. Now, to be able to drill down further and figure out the diverse results in the survey, I did a follow-up user testing of our website, created 13 different scenarios that cover all of our services, and asked stakeholders to go through them. And sure enough, I first-hand witnessed what was going on. Now, to explain more clearly and acknowledge that a picture is worth 1,000 words, I thought I'll give you a slide of what our library homepage used to look like at the time.
That's great, because we didn't have space for the extra 1,000 words in our talk.
Yeah. So our library necessarily include a broad range of search options to cover the varied available sources of information. And as you can see from the screenshots, the problem with searching becomes clear. We had 6 points of entry for search. So the client experience started resembling this.
It's a ruddy mess.
A complex web of services that spanned around 1,600 pages on 16 different websites, coupled with library terminology that makes the discovery of resources quite tricky. We did, however, get 45 million hits that year, so clients are using the site, but clearly there's room for improvement.
Yes, so something needed to change. And in 2015, we had a new vision, a new plan, and a new library structure. Wow. The library dedicated resources to online services, that's us, and others, under the strategic goals of being future-focused and innovation. These were the two main areas that we focused on online services. We're looking for new ideas to improve effectiveness and responding to future needs of our clients. This project was focused on improving the discovery experience for our clients and includes the unified search application. Gaith will now talk a little bit about discoverability. What is discoverability, Gaith?
Okay. So, discoverability of content, which is a key challenge for libraries. And that's why we embarked on a library website redesign project. And using the additional resources we had now at our disposal, we engaged an external design company, Boomworks, to work with us. We created library client personas, journey maps, and tested our assumptions about terminology and information architecture, and ended up reorienting the site's information architecture to match the user journey instead of library services. We've also rationalized the content itself, making it clear, more succinct, and managed to reduce it by more than half. Lastly, we worked on reducing our search gateways, enabling the client to search for more things in less places. Throughout that process, we've sought feedback from our stakeholders to test our changes and assumptions. All of this was baked in a responsive design to enable our clients to use our websites across all of their devices. And the result was this. So this new design improved the discoverability of our resources and services to clients. However, it still didn't completely solve the problem of multiple search pathways to multiple types of content. For that, we came up with the one search box that rules them all, dubbed Unified Search. And our first prototype looked like this. So as part of working towards a solution of our search deficiencies, we created this prototype to test what is possible and can work within our setup. We used this prototype interface in user testing when creating the new website, and we got some interesting results, which Gary will be talking about soon.
Right, but first, how does it work? We built a service for each database, right? The search phrase is sent to each service. Each service returns a set of results. And then each result is formatted and presented in what is known as a bento box layout. It's good we're after lunch, otherwise I'd be making you very hungry. Right. So we have PHP as the language of our main website, but we wanted to decide on a framework, a JavaScript framework. It's all getting very technical now. JavaScript framework for the front-end stuff. We considered various frameworks, and you can see just a few of them up here. And there's a lot of crossover in their feature sets, like Angular 2 and React.js were the main contenders, mainly due to their large developer communities. So there's a good support and documentation around these frameworks. We decided to use Angular 2 because it's component-based. We had some in-house expertise in it. There's It's got a large developer community, but I already said that. Its performance is on parallel with React these days. You can do server-side rendering using the Angular Universal plugin. And, well, I just ruddy well like coding in it. We may even decide at some point to do a React.js mock-up and compare the two. There were some challenges along the way, of course, and this is how I would start my day, looking a bit like the dashing David Banner. And I might end my day looking a bit like Lou Ferrigno without the muscles. And Gaith would, you know, he would just run away when I said, "Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry." No. So what are those challenges? Cross-origin resource sharing. I'm getting some crossover here. I think it's my feeling picking up the music. Cross-origin resource sharing was a little difficult to get working with DSpace, which we use for our institutional repository. We use Sierra for our catalogue and its application programming interface, hereafter which I will refer to as an API. There wasn't one really to speak of. One of our colleagues, Jim Nichols, kindly created one for me using the Z3950 protocol as a proof of concept, but that was less than ideal because we can't do things like sort the results. We're now testing the Sierra 3 search API, which is working much more nicely. Our current discovery layer summon, there was some great difficulties getting authorization headers sent. So when we send a search request to this search service, we have to send an authorization header so that they know where it's coming from. And even one of the summon developers had great difficulty helping me get this working, but we got it working. We had to do things like separate each service for testing properly, being careful not to include sensitive data, for example, private keys in our code or our Git repository, Git in the nicest sense of the word. There were some local proxy setup issues.
Nothing.
See, we also have technical difficulties here. Where APIs were not easy or to work with, or where we wanted to combine APIs, we used the Funnelback enterprise search platform. It's me, is it?
Yep.
It's me. So, as Gaith mentioned earlier, when we did some user testing, A/B testing, so we had the initial interface that Gaith showed you was the bento box layout. This one is not a bento box layout. This is what we call, for all intensive purposes, a Google-style presentation where results from each category are listed just down the page. You can access each category, but they're in separate tabs, not presented on one page. So it's to bento or not to bento. Das ist hier die Frage. Und many prominent universities like Princeton, Cornell and Stanford use a bento box style of search results presentation, as we did with our prototype, and that felt intuitive to us. However, all users are different. Many users showed a preference for the tabbed Google-style layout. We believe in giving our users choices, so the next step will be to give users the choice of a tabbed layout or a bento box layout at the flick of a switch. One of the major functional issues that came out of the user testing was that some users wanted all results mixed together like a real Google. Since we're not currently harvesting all data to one index or database, we can only mix results arbitrarily in terms of relevance ranking. So initially, we will display results ranked by relevance within each category, but not across each category. We may venture into that at some later point using something like Elasticsearch. Over to Gaith.
Okay. So, at the center of all of our projects, we have the user experience as the focus. But we also always have sustainability in mind when developing solutions. This is the case across all the stages of our projects. In relation to unified search, we designed it in modular form and with scalability in mind. So, if we need to change any part, for example, change the catalog or the institution repository provider, it doesn't impact other components or require major redesign. The same goes if we want to add new search pathways in it too. Now, as you can see on our continuous improvement wheel, we have design, implementation, verification, maintenance, requirements, and feedback. And they are in a wheel because it doesn't always happen in a linear fashion. With, for example, feedback happening at almost every stage. Our continuous improvement aim also encourages us to work with others, for example, external providers like Boomworks, our marketing and communication and IT divisions, and researchers across the university to make sure that the user needs are always best met with our development efforts. And that's pretty much reaches the end of our presentation, really. So thank you for coming. And if you have any questions, please.